Before the news about new tariffs began to drop, there was a surge in business investment, and we really see that produced much of the gains in economic activity. And investment and greater output, right, actually pays dividends for years through compounding. And so, we do expect to see a long-term effect. Now, I have to caution that we risk undoing all of the gains from corporate tax reform because of the meddling in international trade policy that's happening. And just to give you a sense, the magnitude of that effect, the U.S. Department of Agriculture just released its estimates for the past year's farm income. And farm incomes across the United States are down 20%. And they are down in every region of the country and in every sector of the agricultural economy. And so the ag industry is already being harmed by tariffs. Admittedly, that's a fairly small share of total economic output, but we treat ag as sort of the canary in the coal mine. They're the first industry to be impacted. And now we're hearing General Motors, Boeing, major U.S. corporations talking about the effects to their revenue of tariffs in the most recent revenue reports.
I guess this is a difficult question, but with tariffs, if they pull those back and they stop with this tariff idea, would we see or rather if they continue with that, how does that impact things? Are you projecting what they might do, or do you kind of just try and take what they've done and see what it's going to impact in the next quarter?
Well, again, so the bargain that the administration is trying to sell us is that, look, there's going to be temporary pain, but this is all part of a sophisticated negotiation that's happening, and that what will come out of this are trade terms that are favorable to the U.S. and will increase total output. I am not buying it. In fact, I look at what happened to NAFTA, the renegotiation of the North American Free Trade Agreement. The deal that was renegotiated is worse than the status quo. It harms the U.S. auto industry. And so I don't have faith that what will come out of this is better. So we're feeling pain now, and I actually believe that we're likely to see enduring pain as a result of what's happening.
Just one more question on this. What do you say to the idea of the fact that there's been a net, I guess we're net consuming more than we are exporting, and people will comment to that saying that's a big deal, and I think he's trying to right that wrong. And I'm not an economist, so I don't know how wrong or right that is. But what?
Well, so there's this. So there's two aspects to this. Number one, it's a problem if we're consuming more than we're producing, right? If total economic output is less than consumption every year, because it means that's debt finance consumption, right? And we have to pay it back at some point. Now, what they talk about is net trade balances, right? And most people that talk about the U.S. trade deficit actually only talks about the current product account balance, right? And it's true, we export less than we import, right? But one of the things that we actually export is financial instruments, right? A lot of the money that's spent by U.S. customers on foreign goods comes right back to the country and is reinvested in the United States in U.S. treasuries and other instruments, right? And actually, when you consider those balances, trade is balanced, right? It must be, otherwise exchange rates would change and would actually alter the relative affordability of foreign imports. And so trade is in balance when you consider the entire portfolio of things that are bought and sold across boundaries. The other piece is that the welfare of U.S. consumers is maximized when we exploit the competitive advantage of our trade partners, right? If they can do something less costly than we can spend less on it, and then those financial resources, our own financial resources, can be redirected to other goods and services, and U.S. productive capacity can be redeployed to do the things that we do best.
I think that's well said. I appreciate that. And so there's a long tail to some of these. It's not just one data point that you can kind of analyze. There's going to be impacts from other data points. And
I will say, obviously, what's difficult in a political environment is that there are definitely short-term winners and losers in all this. If you're a UAW worker, if you are a steel manufacturer, right, you can suffer tremendous hardship as jobs in those sectors flow out of the United States. And so I think there's a really important role for policy to make sure that those people, the individuals who are displaced over time, are taken care of. You could provide those people with, a lifetime living wage more cheaply than you could renegotiate all of these trade deals and try and bring that production back to the United States.
We're talking with Matthew Fienup. He's the executive director for the Center for Economic Research and Forecasting at California Lutheran University.